bringing accounting, financial management, inventory, and HR all into one fluid platform. With one unified business management suite, there's one source of truth, giving you the visibility and control you need to make quick decisions. With real-time insights and forecasting, you're peering into the future with actionable data. When you're closing the books in days, not weeks, you're spending less time looking backward and more time on what's next. And speaking of opportunity, you can now download the CFO's Guide to AI and Machine Learning at netsuite.com/Kim. The guide is free for you at netsuite.com/Kim. That's netsuite.com/Kim. netsuite.com/Kim.
Talkback is sponsored by The Clinics. With 27 providers and 3 locations, someone can see you today.
It's Talkback, Central Louisiana's longest-running talk show. Whether it's the guests or the callers, Talkback is where Central Louisiana begins its conversation. And happy good morning, and I don't hear myself. Do you hear
I hear
you
you
vaguely.
I hear you vaguely.
Okay, so
But I hear me much louder.
I have no idea. Well, good morning and welcome to Wednesday Talkback. This is not Al Quartermont. Al is on vacation this week, so Nathan Martin sitting in for Al on this wonderful Wednesday.
That's right.
Alliteration.
You get the whole week this week.
I'm not here on Thursday. On Friday. Not Friday.
Right.
So I'm Monday through Thursday. Yep.
None of us are here on Friday.
No, it'll be Alexander again, unless he doesn't make it in. So say something again.
Who, me?
Yeah. So your
morning.
Your meter is a lot hotter than my meter. I meant your microphone level is a lot higher than my microphone level. I don't know. Good morning, everybody. We're glad you're here. Somebody's been in the studio, as we could tell when we came in. The adjustments were made, and we hope that you hear us okay. I know that they're constantly working on improvements around here, and we're
And improving our streaming, because you can still catch us. We're live on Facebook, YouTube at the moment, and then you can always catch it later on. Watch us. Listen to us on demand, whichever way you want, but we're here.
The fun faces that you might see from time to time. Have you had any issues when you were streaming with this camera locking up?
Not that I've noticed, although I don't tend to sit here and watch myself so much, but
okay. Thank you. Listener says volumes are equal on the app. I appreciate that.
There you go.
In the headphones. So
there you go.
But no, a couple of times with Sandra, I've had it where it'll just freeze, and she'll be like, she's just talking, but she throws the face, and we have to exit and bring it back up and all that stuff. So.
Nope.
But they're
never
telling
had
me
a
that
problem.
we're going to have some new equipment coming in soon.
Yeah.
And all kinds of great changes in the air around here.
Absolutely.
So we're excited about that. But we're excited to be here today because we got a show for you, as they say.
Yeah.
7:30, we're going to have a guest coming in from Cleco, and Andre Guillory, who is the Chief Customer Officer for Cleco Power, will be talking to us about the things that they're doing getting ready for storm season. Can you believe we're just a little bit away from hurricane season?
I was thinking about that the other day. Like, oh man, June 1st is almost here. Means the start of hurricane season again.
Oh, God. I don't want it. Please.
I know.
Make it go away.
I know. Please keep them away.
Man. But it's good to have Cleco here talking about what they're doing, getting ready, clearing their rights-of-ways and all the stuff that's taking place. So we'll be talking with Andre at 7:30, and then at 8 o'clock, we've got our weekly segment, our bi-weekly segment with CLTCC, their Workforce Wednesday, and going to have a great time chatting with the folks that are coming in for there. Lindsay Green will be coming in. She is the Vice Chancellor of Workforce and Grant Development here at the Alexandria campus. I'm glad to have her. We may even be able to play a little something from a KLB news story that happened. And then at 8:30, the inimitable
The one and only.
There is none other. So we're looking forward to having him.
Although it'll be an interesting day with Greg Walker here because Al is not here with Greg Walker.
Yeah.
So, I might get a word in. It won't be all wrestling and baseball.
I started to say exactly because now I will tell you, I was a huge wrestling fan growing up. My dad.
Okay.
It was a regular thing to watch it, but it's back in the days of Skandar Akbar and
again out of my
Hacksaw Bill Duggan and.
I'll just sit here. I'll just sit here and remind you when there's a phone call.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Vanna.
Right.
Do you feel that way sometimes with the young Greg?
Excuse me. Yeah.
the window dressing.
Yeah,
So that was
exactly.
an interesting interview with her a while back, talking about the changes of her career and how she used to physically turn them, and then
Now she just taps on it.
right.
Yeah.
I think
And does she actually tap on it?
so.
Because really, yeah. The life of Vanna White.
But you know,
It's
the
rough.
interplay between her and what was the host name for all those
Pat
years?
Sajak.
Pat Sajak.
Yeah.
It was just fun interplay, the conversations and stuff. And there's something about chemistry that makes things happen, like chemistry with phone calls. Like when you call in, callers 310-442-8255 is our BOM Talkline number, and so we are open from now until 7:30. So there's only a couple of chances for you to make your call. Want to do that today. Interesting conversations yesterday down in the legislature. You and I were chatting ahead of time about Gabe Ferment, Jason DeWitt, and I think, was that Tim Temple in there with him?
Yeah,
the three were testifying before Judiciary A, and our own local Senator Jay Luno had some interesting interchanges with them. It got a little, not testy, but a little push back and forth, and
back and forth.
And some interesting dialogue there. And so, you appreciate our representatives taking, I think that was House Bill something 434, something like that. Let's go to the phone lines. Good morning. You're on Talkback with Trish and Nathan.
Hey, good morning. Thank you for taking my call. I wanted to, if I could, speak to the issue of the prescription drug stuff that Trump's been talking about, lowering the prices for everybody. And I think it's important that we all understand why things are the way they are. And I hope things don't get messed up. But, do y'all remember when LASIK eye surgery came about, when that technology was being forged? It was very expensive. Some people were paying $5,000-$10,000 per eye, but they were able to see. And we know this story because insurance didn't pay for it. It was all elective. Now I've seen it as low as $250 an eye. Advertisements, and they're getting the same thing. They're just getting it for a lot less. And I hate it for the poor people before, or the rich people before, but because they were able to pay the extra price, now we have it. Well, it's the same thing with medications. America is less than 5% of the world's population, but we consume most of the drugs, especially all the new drugs, because our system of free enterprise is so successful. We have the extra money to spend on it. The rest of the world doesn't. So if you open up Nathan's Pill Emporium and you come up with a new drug number 46, you're gonna calculate your cost on America. And if you find out, if your accountants tell you, hey, we need to make 300 million of these pills a year, and we need to charge this amount to break even or to make a profit and continue as a business, that's what you're going to charge. But then if little old Canada with 42 million people calls and says, hey, we would like that drug, but we can't pay the full price for it. We only need $100,000 a year. Then you'll call your accountants and say, how much does it cost us to make an extra $100,000 a year? We're already making $300 million. They say, pennies, nothing. So you can charge them 10%, and it's all profit because you already have the infrastructure in place to make all the drugs. So when people say, people in Canada get it for 10% of what we're getting, that's not a true comparison. And so if he forces it to go to the price that everyone pays, then what's going to happen is you're not going to do any more innovation for a new pill 486, or whatever. 46, that's the issue 486. That's why that's in my mind. Don't think about that. That's the abortion pill. But, you know what I'm talking about, new innovation. So we need to be careful with what we're doing. The rest of the world, they just don't buy the medication like we do. In a lot of countries, man, if you get sick, you just die. And we have the luxury of taking things for every little bobo we have. We're overweight and we're and we take a lot of medication. So this is where the profit is. And I don't mean to detract from what President Trump is doing. I know, Bernie's been talking about this forever, price fixing. But price fixing is wrong, whether it's Jeff Landry trying to do it or Donald Trump. Anyways, thanks for letting me speak. I think that's been on the podcast a lot. Y'all have a great day.
Thanks. I appreciate that very much. That the issue of price fixing that he talks about with the way the charge. My understanding is that they claim research and development costs, and that justifies their price increases in America, but the same medications can be sold, you got $1,000 medication here and $10 in Canada. And why is it for a long time, a lot of our people were contacting Canada. I go to Mexico multiple times a year. I get requests for people to bring back medications. If you go to Nuevo Progreso just across the border from Texas, there will be hundreds of Americans there.
Right.
Buying their prescriptions, bringing their prescriptions, and getting them incredibly much cheaper. And so what I understand Trump is saying is that whatever the price is, it's going to be everywhere.
Right.
And that should bring the American prices down. It probably will bring the prices up in some other countries, but it'll make it a fairer playing ground around the world. And it won't be America alone carrying the cost of the research and development.
Right. Right.
So, you can also buy some other things in Mexico that you...
But I mean, you're talking significant prices. I mean, I remember it too because it's not a new thing either. And growing up north, I mean, Canada was just across the border, and it's the same thing. You could go to Canada and get your prescriptions how much cheaper. So
well, I don't want to call out any, but I know people who in the past were buying from Canada mail order because it was so much less expensive than even purchasing that with insurance in America. So that's got to be changed. And And
then that you made a comment there too with insurance, but then you've also got all of the things that you have to self-pay for because insurance finds a way to exclude that particular, drug.
Yeah. Well, the cost of if those costs can be lowered and made more equitable, and the companies are still going to be profitable. Many times they're making profit off things that they cleared their costs years and years ago.
Oh, years and years ago.
Like our caller said, it's just pure straight up profits. So, going back, I did want to confirm that was HB 434 that was being discussed yesterday, and that was the one about the having required insurance.
It's the recovery limits for uninsured drivers. And there were actually 5 of these insurance reform bills that actually advanced through the Senate yesterday. So,
and I'll be honest with you, I was a little surprised that they did. I thought they might not make it through, but they did. So that's going to be interesting to see. If you remember, Representative Mike Johnson has Governor Landry on record under oath saying, if you bring it to my desk, I'll sign it. So that means there can't be any any vetoes this year.
We'll see.
We'll find out.
Yeah.
All right. So we have come up with the bottom of the hour. Excited to have the opportunity in a few moments to talk to Andre Guillory from Cleco Power and be talking to us about their preparations for storm season. I can't believe we're having to talk about it already. I mean, it was cold 2 days ago, but here we are getting ready. So stick around for that and more with your calls on Talkback.
Talkback is sponsored by The Clinics with 27 providers and 3 locations. Someone can see you today. Stick around. More of Talkback is on the way.
This is a Bloomberg Money Minute. More U.S. consumers are becoming delinquent with their loans. The New York Fed reports that the share of outstanding consumer debt that's in delinquency rose in the first quarter to the highest in 5 years at some 4.3% of debt. The increase reflects an end to the pandemic-era pause on reporting delinquent student loan payments on credit reports. Google introduced the biggest update to its Android mobile operating system in years. More details are expected at its developer conference, which starts May 20th. Google said its aim with the update is to make the experience feel more natural and fluid with more room for personalization. Android is the most widely used mobile operating system in the world. Meanwhile, rival Apple plans to fundamentally change the look of its operating systems. Its developers conference is scheduled to start June 9th. Consumer prices rose less than expected in April, and overall yesterday it was a mostly higher close for Wall Street, although the Dow finished lower. And at last check, the stock futures were higher. Gina Cervetti, Bloomberg Radio.
The Rapides Parish Library just got a whole lot easier to access. Introducing our brand new library app. With the new app, you can search, reserve, borrow, and renew your books all with the tap of a button. Need to know if a book is available? Scan a barcode to see if you can borrow it before you buy. Get access to resources and account notifications with ease. RPL is now right at your fingertips. Anytime, anywhere. Download the app today. Rapides Parish Library. Your library, now mobile.
If you'd like to end the show today, call the BOM Talkline at 442-8255. That's 442-TALK. And remember, if you're looking to purchase or refinance your home, call Christina Bagwell at the BOM Bank Mortgage Department.
That's right, 2 computers.
970 AM, 104.9 FM, KSYO. To take part in the show, call 442-8255. That's 442-TALK. Talkback.
Huffing and puffing on Wednesday morning as we get things ready for our new guest in the studio, Andre Guillory of Clico Power. Good morning, Andre. How are you?
Good morning. I'm doing well. Thank you for having me.
We're excited to have you here and delighted that you're going to be a part of our program this morning to talk to us about preparations for storms. And we don't want to talk about it because we can't believe that hurricane season is less than a month away. Is that really right?
Yeah, it seems like we get threats earlier and earlier these days, and so our number one strategy is to not have any, but we have to be prepared either way.
I like that. Number one strategy. Let's just don't have any.
Yeah.
But you have to be prepared, and Clico Power throughout the year is doing all sorts of things to be prepared. This isn't something you do at the last minute, like, oh, wait a minute, we better get on the ball. I see your crews out. Y'all contract a lot of stuff out as well. But talk to us a little bit about your real year-round preparations for weather events.
Yeah, so like you mentioned, it's not something we can wait until storm season to start preparing for storms. With over 13 to 14,000 miles of transmission and distribution lines, it takes us a while to inspect and to maintain rights of way and other things around those lines. So throughout the year, we're constantly doing inspections. We're maintaining equipment and assets, infrastructure, and then one of the biggest, the biggest, most visible kind of efforts that we take on throughout the year is the maintenance of the vegetation around our rights of way.
I can imagine that's a huge task, and I wonder if the recent drought of a couple of years ago that killed so many trees, does that have an added impact on your rights of ways?
It definitely has, both in our rights of way and then also outside of our rights of way. Typically, we're looking at maybe 15 to 25 feet of right of way on either side of our power lines, and so you can imagine 100-foot plus trees that are suffering 20 feet away, right? Yeah, that are dead because of the drought or beetles or lots of other things definitely pose a risk, and so we look to address those.
Do you do any removal of those that are obvious? I mean, even though they're outside the right of way, I'm sure you'd have to get property permission from the property owner.
Right. Yeah. Well, we do. We have a program specifically for identifying what we call danger trees, and those are those dead trees that are outside of our right of way. Typically, if they're along the the very edge of the right of way, we can go ahead and handle those. But often we've got to get with landowners. We get contacted by landowners that have identified it themselves and recognize the risk.
Yeah.
Well, I know you guys have been very, very proactive out our direction in Woodworth on the Cooley Crossing area, which I know everybody out there is thankful for because we were having so many problems with outages. And yeah, that's a part of this plan that you guys put into place is identify everything that could impact a line and remove it.
Yeah, that's right. Vegetation is the number one cause of unplanned power outages on our system.
We talk about vegetation. You're talking about tree limbs, fallen trees. I mean, we're not just talking about poison ivy. Vegetation is trees.
Correct. Yes. Yeah, it's everything. Primarily trees, right? Branches falling out of trees falling, themselves. But also, vines and other things, other types of vegetation can cause problems, but primarily trees.
So last year, you guys kind of doubled your initiative, as I understand it, to really ramp this up. Talk to us about that.
Yeah, over the past several years, dating back to probably around 2019, 2020, we began collecting a lot of data using some technology to verify what we thought we already knew and find out some things we didn't know. So not only did we validate that trees and other vegetation are the number one kind of cause of problems on the system, but we also recognize where those problems occurred. We put some things in place to calculate, what it would take to go and address some of the major problems on our system. And then last year we were able to get approval to move forward with nearly doubling the amount of line miles we address, year over year. And we're already seeing, positive impacts from that.
Yeah, what kind of improvement have you seen in outages after starting that initiative?
Yeah, so it's not magic, right? If there are no trees in the right of way, then trees can't cause problems. But we've seen, you almost can't eliminate 100% of the power outages caused by trees because of things outside the right of way. But we've seen outages caused by vegetation on the circuits that we've addressed, down by 80+%. Where we've seen our reliability numbers improve. We've historically been a reliable electric provider, one of the best in the state, but we're always looking for ways to get better. We understand how important that is to our customers.
Well, you have thousands of miles of distribution lines. You have over 1,000 miles of transmission line. What's the difference between a transmission line and a distribution line?
So it's a higher voltage, and it's the bigger structures, the bigger rights of way. When you see the, kind of look like man structures that are, kind of out there. Those are our transmission lines. We have a bigger right of way there. We got to keep trees further away from those, from those lines. But we also have so much more on the distribution system that it really becomes a challenge on the distribution side to maintain those, 12 to 13,000 miles.
One of the features that many of us use often is your outage map. And that's something that, I have no idea how that works. I don't know if it's a combination of smart meters and little sensors all throughout your system, but it seems to be really accurate in both identifying locations and sometimes it's pretty close to the time of restoration.
Yeah, we recognize that's really important to customers. One, just stop it from going out in the first place, right? And you eliminate the need for it. But in the cases where we can't, customers want to know that we know they have an outage, and they want to know when we expect to have the lights back on. And so we put a lot of effort into making sure that we're accurate in identifying them. You're right. Our advanced meters play a big part in that. We have a lot of smart sensors and other devices out on the system that informs us of where we have outages. And we put a lot of analytics into determining, based on the number of concurrent outages, where the outage location is. A lot of other things go into estimating the time of restoration. But we can always get better at that, and we're continuing to, we'll continue to work on getting that.
I know that's always my first comment. Like, the second the lights would go out, like, oh, get on the app, make sure you report it, hurry up, report it, make sure they know it. And yep, you guys always know it.
Well, that's absolutely. I was going to say the exact same thing. Before I ever make a call, I check them out to see. Yeah. Can you report the outage from the map? I didn't know if you could do that. Can you do that?
You can. You can report it straight from the outage map. You can call in, of course. You can report it through our customer My Account portal. So we have an app or the online version. So a number of different ways you can report it. But in most cases, it's not necessary for customers to report it. The meters report it. They're highly accurate. And other than maybe like a hurricane type situation, we generally know where and when outages are.
Basically, if your sensor is not talking to the meter, there's something happening between your sensor and the meter. So you guys are very much proactive in that. There are some things that simply can't be avoided. Car accidents that take out a power line or things like that. No amount of tree or vegetation removal is going to prevent that. But your crews are amazing in getting out there. In fact, I don't know the status of the bill, but there was a bill that was recognizing linemen as first responders. Do you recall that? And do you know any status on that?
Yeah, it's my understanding that passed.
Wow.
And so I think it's appropriate. I think
that's terrific. Yeah.
Our linemen, they do an excellent job.
And I think that's only during emergencies. It's not like 24/7, but during times of emergency, they're considered first responders and should be accorded all respect and cooperation as any other first responder, which we have tremendous respect for the work that linemen do. But you're here today talking about vegetation removal, and it's my understanding that you guys you outsource a lot of that. So it may not be a Cleco truck that you see out there. It may be Soulscapes or some other vendor. Is that right?
That's correct. It's a combination. So we have Cleco oversight. So we have all the planning and the coordination and the oversight of those contractor crews or all Cleco employees. But historically, we've contracted that work out. The specialized equipment, the specialized expertise that it takes, for tree removal, at least today, is better left to those experts.
Kind of reminds me, I was with my dentist and I needed a root canal, and he sent me somebody else. I said, but you're my dentist. Why can't you do it? He said, wouldn't you rather go to somebody that does root canals all day long and that's all they do than me who does like 2 or 3 a week? And so the same way of specialization, these people really know what they're doing, and it's just really good to use the experts.
Now, if there's customers out there that are listening right now and they do have concerns about something, maybe they have a tree that they're concerned about, limbs that they're concerned about, what can they do proactively to get in touch with Cleco to say, hey, come take a look at this?
Yeah, all the different channels of communication to us are great ways to report that sort of thing. They can call into the 1-800 number. They can fill out a contact us form, on our website. We get customers reaching out to us all the time. Look, I've got a tree. It looks like it's getting close to the line. Sometimes customers don't recognize whether it's an actual power line or maybe it's a cable line or something else. But that's okay, right? If
you'll still go look at it,
we'll still go take a look.
Well, that's great. Well, we appreciate it. You guys have a 99% uptime in 2024, which is really great. I see a note here. It says you're the only Louisiana utility to meet or exceed Louisiana Public Service Commission reliability standards for the last 26 years, every year. That is something to hang your hat on.
Yeah, we take an awful lot of pride in that, and we're always looking to get better.
Well, thank you so much. Andre Guillory with Cleco Power in this morning. Any final words for our listeners?
Look, I'm glad to be out here kind of getting the message out. It's really important to me and to the company that we let customers know all that we're doing on their behalf. We recognize that reliability is one of their top priorities, and so we're doing all we can to constantly get better.
Well, we're appreciative of the expertise and the excellence in service that all of us receive. Thank you very much, Andre Guillory with Clico.
Yeah,
We'll be back right after this.
KSYL. This is Dr. Jonathan Hunter with the clinics, where we pride ourselves in providing exceptional care. We offer a wide range of services, including primary care, family and chronic care, acute and urgent care, podiatry, and gastroenterology, along with an on-site lab and x-ray. Our new family medicine physician, Dr. Noah Miller, is accepting new patients. Same-day appointments are available, and most insurance and Medicare are accepted. The clinics, 1587 North Bolton, 445-9823. Online at theclinics.us.
Starting a business can be overwhelming, especially when you do it alone. Don't do it alone. Take control of your future with a Jenny King Gulf Coast franchise. With Jenny King, you get guaranteed initial growth, reliable operational support, and ongoing education to set you up for success. Jenny King has built a proven system that gives you the tools to take control of your future confidently and with the support you need to thrive. The future is yours today at JennyKingCleans.com.
Jenny King, the king of clean.
Success is about momentum. For over 20 years, Kinetics has been moving businesses forward with cutting-edge IT, cybersecurity, and marketing solutions while keeping them secure, innovative, and competitive. We power progress with next-gen business technology and marketing solutions designed to keep your business ahead of the competition. Need seamless IT, a bold new brand, a strategy built for what's next? Don't get left behind. Move forward with Kinetics. Visit kbisp.com and take the next step today.
Now back to Talkback, 970 AM, 104.9 FM, KSYO.
Enjoyed having Andre Guillory in here from Clico, nice fella who had a lot of good information for us about the vegetation program and why you might see people in the right-of-way by your house.
I mean, they really did. They came down Cooley Crossing and took out, I mean, if there was a branch or a limb from a tree that was going to, could at all impact the power line, it was gone.
Well, and we in the city of Pineville have had great success, great cooperation from them, calling them about trees that are on rights-of-ways or even just off of rights-of-ways that we feel like, because that issue of the drought trees, the pine beetle trees.
And the pine beetles,
it's been horrific. And they actually came in one area. They had to get permission from the property owner, but there were probably 10 trees like all clumped together, and that seems to be the case a lot of times. They're kind of in little areas. So that was really appreciate what they've done.
And definitely a big part of that hurricane prep, because you remember years ago, I mean, that was our biggest issue after we had the two hurricanes that hit, one right after the other, were all the down trees everywhere. All the power lines are down. I remember going around town trying to check on all the houses that we had out there listed and doing all that stuff. And yeah, that was such a big issue.
The way I used to could tell in the olden days, as my daughter says, the way back days, when if I wasn't at home and I wanted to know if the power had been restored, I'd call the house, and if the answering machine picked up, I knew that power was back on. But if the answering machine didn't pick up, then we don't use answering machines anymore, so you got to find better ways.
You don't even have a home phone anymore.
I do.
Do you really?
I do, believe it or not.
Yeah.
Well, I'm one of those rare people. I got a phone number when I moved home from Mexico in 1991. I got obviously a local phone number, and I still have that number. It's been published so many places. But what I did a few years ago was I transferred it to a VoIP number, Voice over Internet Protocol. So on my phone, I have an app. I still, believe it or not, I have landline in my house, but it's connected to my internet router, and so people call, I can answer it at the house or on my cell phone, and I can call back to people. That's the number that's been associated with me for so long. So if you were in businesses, you want your number.
Oh, absolutely.
Right, so
my business number is different.
I am really disappointed. My mom and dad dropped their home line this year, and I said to them, we should have done the VoIP. They just didn't think about it. And now all their cousins.
It's the only number that you remember by heart is your childhood phone number.
Isn't that crazy? You remember those numbers from 40 years ago, but you can't remember your kids' numbers. Do you know your children's phone numbers?
I do not.
I do not either.
No.
I
hate to admit that.
But do you remember any one of them? Any one of their numbers?
No.
Not a single one.
No.
Okay. You
I know my husband's number by heart. Yes.
Right.
Yes. But
Do you have a speed dial for him on your phone?
I have a speed dial for all of them on my phone.
So, one's number 2, one's number 3, one's number 4.
No, they're just under my favorites.
Oh,
Are you not an iPhone user?
No.
No, see? Yeah.
My problem with iPhones.
One of those Android guys.
I am. I'm proudly Android because, when you see that bite taken out of that apple, that's where all the problems of the world happened when Eve. So here you go, Eve, with your apple, contaminating everybody with your iOS-ness.
I'm Apple the whole way along, from the Mac to the, yep.
I'll admit it's an admirable ecosystem, and I don't want to get into the fight today of Apple versus Android, but it's a good ecosystem. It works well together. But I like the freedom that Android has. All right, so and I also like phone calls like this one that's come in. Good morning, you're on Talkback with Nathan and Trish.
Yeah, I hope that the man being there will do some good. I called Clico in August of 23. There's an old sweet gum tree. Well, it's a big tree, and it had limbs hanging over the real hot wires coming from the transformer. And I hadn't seen or heard from him at all, so maybe I'll call him. And the tree is dying now. The limbs are falling, and the least it could do is trip the breaker. But if they'll cut it, they can dispose of it. They can dump it on my place. I'll cut it up for firewood. But I'll give Clico a call, but it's kind of hard to get in touch with the right people sometimes.
Well, I have found on the Clico.com website, they have a contact us section that has been useful to me in the past. At the very top right, it says contact us, and then there is I'm trying to find it now that I clicked on it, there is you can email customer service, and so that may be a good way. And the fact that they, in this past year, have doubled the amount of money that they're spending, maybe it fell through the cracks. I would definitely give them another shot.
I'll do it.
Yeah.
Okay,
hey, by the way, but hold on. While you're on the phone, you use sweet gum for firewood?
Yeah. In a stove.
Right. Okay.
It's not like as good as oak, but hey, if it's wood and it burns, I'll use it.
There you go. Well, very good. I'm glad that I know some people that wouldn't use it. I guess maybe it's more for the cooking side of things, but if you just use it for heating, all right.
Right.
Well, good. Thank you very much. Learn something all the time. Appreciate that call. 442-8255. 318-442-8255 is the BOM Talkline. Got to add that 318, Trish. Are you getting used to that?
I already have it programmed in my phone.
Yep.
So it's not like you're sitting there dialing.
Right.
It's not like the rotary days where it was awful when you had to add in the area code.
Right.
Because that meant,
Yeah,
how many more?
In my younger days, we were, all my family is out around Sharp, Mora, Flatwoods, Boyce, and the phone numbers were 793.
Oh.
So 7, 9. Thank God for the 3. But then somebody's, 8972. You're like, oh, forever. And you dial one digit wrong, and you got to start all over again.
All over again.
Kids don't even know why we use the word dial.
That's true. That's true.
All right, well, let's take our next break. We'll come back. We're going to finish out the hour with your calls right here on Talkback 970.
Talkback is sponsored by The Clinics with 27 providers and 3 locations. Someone can see you today. Stick around. More of Talkback is on the way.
Hey, y'all. Spring is here, and so is the fun. Looking for somewhere to cruise this weekend? May 15th through May 17th, New Iberia presents the 16th annual Cruise in Cajun Country. Experience stores, food, music, and dancing. Visit festival.explorelouisiana.com and make your plans to laissez les bon temps rouler.
When you're going through something, you want to be heard, respected, and helped. Louisiana 988 is here to provide that, offering 24/7 emergency emotional support. Specialists will genuinely listen, treat you with dignity, and help you find the resources you need. It's free, confidential, and most people who reach out report feeling better right in the moment. Call or text 988 anytime.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. I've added another burner to my very large collection of defense products. Why? Because Burner just launched their new compact launcher, the smallest, most compact launcher to date, and I'll be taking it with me everywhere I go. It's the same size as a smartphone, allowing you to conceal, carry comfortably and with confidence. It fires 400 feet per second with 41 joules per square inch of stopping power. The size is perfect for women who want protection but can't carry a firearm. It's equipped with tear gas and kinetic ammunition. It's designed to incapacitate an attacker for 30 to 40 minutes. And Burner is legal in all 50 states. There's no background check required. It can be shipped directly to your door. And Burner is trusted by hundreds of police departments and government agencies worldwide. And Burner is proudly American, each unit hand-assembled in Fort Wayne, Indiana. Visit byrna.com today, or you can simply try before you buy by finding a Burner dealer and a partner near you. That's byrna.com.
To take part in the show, call 442-8255. That's 442-TALK. 970 AM, 104.9 FM, KSYO. Now back to Talkback.
All right, while we're here in break, I'm on Clico.com reporting my dusk to dawn light. That's how
there you go.
I've been
And
forgetting
it's
to
as
do it.
easy as that, right?
It is. I'm typing it as we speak.
Yep.
So,
Well, look, today, you had mentioned this earlier. Did you know today is actually Root Canal Appreciation Day?
I did not.
Yeah.
And I don't appreciate them at all.
I've never had a root canal, but if I did, I would be, celebrating Root Canal Appreciation Day. But better than that, this week, wanted to mention it is National Police Week up in Washington, D.C.
Yep.
And did you catch, there's a great clip of our representative, Speaker of the House, Mike Johnson, yesterday from National Police Week that I thought was just fabulous.
And you send this clip. Here we go. This is Speaker of the House, Mike Johnson.
First responders take on a risk that most people can't imagine, and we know it well. But when it comes to law enforcement, there truly are fewer callings that can be imaginable than demand more courage and carry more risk than the people who pledge to serve and protect and defend everyone else. It is a noble calling. It's a calling by God, and one that is often thankless and always demanding. And people take for granted the risk that is taken on. And these men and women who are first to run towards danger, to stand on the lines of justice and to put themselves in harm's way, they do that so the rest of the public doesn't have to. And most people will never see the quiet heroism that defines that work. As our communities go about their lives under the shelter of the protection of our brave men and women in uniform. And we can sometimes take for granted that they too will just return home each night, that they'll go home safe and sound to their families. But on some fateful days, that does not happen. And that day changes everything, of course. And that day is why we are here. This year, the names of 345 fallen heroes will be etched into the National Law Enforcement Officers Memorial. They join more than 24,000 officers who have made the same ultimate sacrifice in the line of duty. And for each of you, there is some of the families here, there is a name on that memorial that stands out. A father, a mother, a sister, a brother, a friend, a son, a daughter. That's who we remember today. Not just what they did, but who they were. And no amount of words or wreaths can heal the hole in each family member's heart that's left behind. But I do hope that these families find some comfort in knowing that millions of Americans grieve with them. We certainly do. And though we owe you an unpayable debt, we thank you from the bottom of our hearts. You have our prayers and you have our support, and we'll have your back. To Ashley and Kelly, and to you and the families here today, we're humbled by your courage. We thank you for being here to share your story. And I want to introduce one of...
All right, so then he goes on to introduce some survivors, and I really appreciate that. Earlier this week, Cornelius called in and reminded us it was National Fallen Officers Week, and yesterday I attended a training for a new program that Pineville is looking to implement called Police to Peace. And the idea is that you're looking at police work as being a peace officer, not a law enforcement officer, although that's obviously part of it, but that comes under the umbrella. Mm-hmm. And the idea of really focusing on disengagement, de-escalating, helping resolve issues rather than just come in heavy-handed. And I thought it was very fitting with this week being Fallen Officers Week that we were respecting them and giving due honor to them. And my prayer is that there'll not be another one. Right. We don't need any more. He said 300 some odd names.
345 more names, Dan.
That's almost one a day. My goodness. That has lit up the lines. Let's go to the phone lines. Good morning. You're on Talkback with Trish and Nathan.
Have you all heard the proof of success of Trump's tariffs?
Tell us about it.
Well, Rome now has an American Pope.
I did hear you set us up well. Thank you for that. Let's go to the next.
That's not really true. They actually Biden is Pope because they counted a lot of late mail-in ballots.
But do you have another one? Is that it?
That's enough.
That's enough. Thank you very much. One more caller. Good morning. You're on Talkback with Trish and Nathan.
Hey, sorry to double dip, but can I speak to the police officer thing?
Please do.
Listen, we have a chance as we're parents or grandparents to set the image for our kids. And I realized this last Saturday. I was in that little gas station in the parking lot of Walmart in Kingsville, and a soldier, a young woman, was in line ahead of us. I had my 3-year-old, and I was getting a retreat. And
your 3-year-old grandchild, right? Not your 3-year-old child.
Yeah, my 3-year-old
grandchild.
Clarify
there, my friend.
No, yeah. But anyways, Evie was watching her. She could tell her clothing was different. And so I said, Evie, she's a soldier. I said, that means that she has promised that if any bad guys come, she will fight to keep us safe. And now this woman could hear me saying this behind her as she's checking out. And Evie's just looking at her. And when the woman turns around, Evie gives her a little wave like that, and she smiled and went off, and Evie said, she was nice. Well, I have fixed in her mind a positive image of soldiers. And when you see a police officer, their clothes is strikingly different than everybody else's clothing, and you have a chance to teach your child or grandchild, define them for them. If you wait until the car with the lights is behind you and they're coming up, and you can say, yeah, mommy was wrong or daddy was wrong and they're giving me a ticket now, but your body language is going to teach that child that that's a negative experience, and then it's hard to overcome that later in life. And I think we really need to work hard as a society and as families to honor these people and to give them a positive image in the mindset of our children. I've come up to houses so many times and people say, are you the popo? And and they're scared. I don't look like police, but so anyways, I just wanted to put that out.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
That is. It's a teaching our kids that these are everyday heroes.
Yeah, so at the police to peace union meeting yesterday, we talked about changing that mindset and helping people have a better view, and never ever saying to your kid at the checkout line, if you're not good, that police officer will arrest you. Don't say that kind of stuff.
Exactly.
All right, stick around. We've got coming up next hour Lindsay Green, the Vice Chancellor of Workforce and Grant Development at CLTCC, along with Ms. Keisha Hamilton, the Program Coordinator at Louisiana Central, and then Greg Walker coming up at the bottom of the hour. You don't want to miss that because Greg comes in with a bang, and we're looking forward to all that he has to share. But it's the Workforce Wednesday coming up right after this.
You've been listening to Talkback. The opinions expressed were those of the hosts and callers, and not necessarily those of Cenlaw Broadcasting. FM 104.9, AM 970, KSYL, and KRRV 100.3 HD3, Alexandria. It's 8 o'clock. This is CBS News on the Hour, sponsored by Progressive Insurance.
I'm Deborah Rodriguez. President Trump gets a royal welcome in Qatar. He sat down with the country's emir at the Diwan Palace hours after becoming the first U.S. leader to meet with his Syrian counterpart in 25 years. It followed Mr. Trump's announcement the administration would drop sanctions against the country.
It gives them a chance to break this. The sanctions were really crippling, very powerful.
Mr. Trump also repeated his wish to reach a nuclear agreement with Iran.
I want to do something if it's possible, but for that to happen, it must stop sponsoring terror.
Health officials in Israel say at least 70 people, in Gaza, say at least 70 people have been killed in new Israeli airstrikes on northern and southern Gaza, among them almost 24 children. Reporter Linda Gradstein from Jerusalem.
The Israeli airstrikes came as President Trump held meetings in Qatar and a day after Hamas freed Idan Alexander, a dual U.S.-Israeli citizen, after 584 days of captivity. Palestinian health officials said most of the deaths were in Jabalia in northern Gaza. The Israeli army said it had warned residents to evacuate because of terrorist infrastructure in the area.
Sean Combs' ex-girlfriend is expected to begin a second day of testimony shortly at the rap mogul's racketeering and sex trafficking trial. Correspondent Jerika Duncan is at the courthouse in New York.
She said that Combs introduced her to this idea of freak-offs, where she claims that Combs would hire an escort and watch her have sex with that male escort.
A judge in Los Angeles has resentenced Eric and Lyle Menendez, who've served more than 35 years for their parents' murders. Legal contributor Jessica Levinson says it paves the way for possible freedom.
The next step, at some point within the next few months, is for a parole board to consider whether or not they should be paroled, at which point the Menendez brothers would be released very, very quickly.
Kids and staff at an elementary school in western Maryland had to be rescued by boat when flash flooding swept through the town of Westernport. Brothers Quentin and William Wade were trapped.
Whenever we were going down to get in the boat, the first floor was flooded. The first floor had been flooded all the way to the ceiling.
A new approach to treating breast cancer could vastly improve survival rates. Here's CBS's Michael George.
A University of Cambridge study found chemotherapy followed by the cancer drug olaparib led to 100% of patients surviving for at least 3 years after surgery. The drug is given 2 days after chemotherapy to give the body time to recover.
Dow futures up 41. This is CBS News.
Progressive Insurance. Progressive can protect your home, auto, boat, motorcycle, ATV, RV, and more. In short, a lot of things. Bundle today at Progressive.com.
This is a special notice to all U.S. taxpayers with back taxes to the IRS. Billions in tax relief is now being made available to struggling taxpayers, giving thousands, even tens of thousands of dollars in savings away to those who qualify. If you're facing wage garnishment, threatening letters, audits, liens, levies, or already in a payment plan, you can now expedite the resolution to your tax problem, end collections, and even qualify to reduce a large portion of what you owe. Stop IRS Debt has established a relief hotline for you to call to check what savings and options you qualify for. Dial 800-759-3413. With many people facing job loss and rising cost of living, these special IRS initiatives are designed to aid delinquent taxpayers with the relief that they need to get a fresh start. For a free consultation to see what savings you qualify for, call 800-759-3413. 800-759-3413. 800-759-3413.
Louisiana Radio Network, I'm John Burns. Auto insurance reform legislation has cleared another legislative hurdle in Louisiana. Here's Jeff Palermo.
Insurance Commissioner Tim Temple explained to the committee why Louisiana's auto insurance rates are among the highest in the nation.
The frequency of claims, the amount that insurance companies pay when they do pay claims.
The legislation that is advancing is designed to reduce the number of bodily injury claims and lower the payouts awarded to car accident victims. But Democrats say there is no guarantee tort reform will lead to lower rates. New Orleans Senator Gary Carter.
I don't see how there's any sort of protections to have it where the insurance company just don't pocket all this extra money that we're giving them.
The House-approved bills head to the Senate floor for more debate. I'm Jeff Palermo.
The town of Addis welcomes hometown hero John Foster tonight. He's coming home after making it to the season finale of American Idol. There's a parade in Foster's honor set for 5, followed by a special ceremony and mini concert at 7:30. LRN.
Your honeymoon, anniversary, graduation, or birthday deserves more than just a party. It deserves an epic adventure. Sip wine in Tuscan villages among rolling olive groves. Soak up the sun or explore the rainforest in breathtaking Belize. Sail the crystal waters of Croatia on a dreamy island-hopping cruise. Annie and Christine at FreedomTravelLLC.com can make your next celebration legendary. Freedom Travel, where your journey begins.
Well, a mixture of sunshine and clouds on our Wednesday. Good morning. It's going to be a windy day. Afternoon high temperatures getting up to 90 degrees. We'll see winds gusting as high as 40 miles an hour. Tonight, partly cloudy down to 71. And then for a Thursday, a mostly cloudy day, but still really nice. Afternoon highs near 90. We'll see more of the same, really, in store for us on Friday. Tonight's your forecast from the Cenla Broadcasting Weather Center. I'm Dick Grayson. 74 degrees in Cenla.
Talkback is sponsored by The Clinics. With 27 providers and 3 locations, someone can see you today.
Central Louisiana's longest-running talk show. Whether it's the guests or the callers, Talkback is where Central Louisiana begins its conversation.
Happy Wednesday morning. Good morning, everybody. It's Talkback with Al and Sandra, hosted by Nathan and Trish. It's the rotating host here on Talkback, and today is Workforce Wednesday. We're excited to have with us Ms. Lindsay Green from CLTCC, the Vice Chancellor of Workforce and Grant Development, and she's brought in a cohort this morning, a companion, a traveling expert, Ms. Keisha Hamilton. I don't know where the William came from. Ms. Keisha Hamilton, sorry about that, program coordinator at Louisiana Central, and it's the dynamic duo in this morning to talk about Workforce Wednesday. How are you ladies doing?
Doing great. Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
And y'all look wonderful online, streaming, and all that good stuff where people can watch us on YouTube and Facebook. And Keisha's like, why didn't you warn me? But it's okay. You look great. So, well, we're excited to have you guys here because there's a lot of great things. It seems like there's always great things going on at CLTCC. And when you talk about workforce development, you guys are the experts. So talk to us a little bit about how enrollment has been going.
Yeah, so we are super excited. It seems like every semester our enrollment just keeps increasing. We are 15, 16, 17% over last year just for summer enrollment at this point. And then we are looking at double-digit growth for our fall enrollment, and we cannot be more excited.
I mean, I can't tell if I'm talking to LSUA or CLTCC because both of you guys are just killing it. But CLTCC, your numbers, I mean, to have increase over increase over increase over increase, that's absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, it creates a great problem because then you're like, where are we going to have all these students, right?
Yeah.
But it's a great opportunity. We're excited about it. We're excited that people are understanding the value of skills and trades, and the immediacy of getting people into the workforce because we know that's a huge demand right now too.
So are there any specific lines that are outperforming others, or is it pretty much across the board?
It really is across the board. You know, we one of our biggest programs is always going to be welding, and then always allied health. So, of course, we have our IT programs, and then and the HVAC and electrical. And electrical is really coming to the forefront too these days. So it really is based on industry demand, getting the word out. And then really having our students and our graduates be successful in the workforce. And then, of course, success breeds success. So you can't stop a good thing.
That's right.
I love seeing this increase in enrollment. I mean, with both you and LSUA, both, that it is such a great thing for our area. And speaking for someone, you know, in my industry and real estate, especially seeing this kind of enrollment in areas, like you said, we need these electricians. We need people in these trades every day out there. So, you know, they can come see you, go through your program, they can walk out the door in a great career.
Absolutely. And so one of the things that we've noticed, well, I mean, it's a national trend, is that especially students who get their trades local, they stay local. And so as a community, and selfishly as a mother who wants our kids to stay close to home, it's a great opportunity to grow the community, give our students, our kids, a chance to stay home, grow, be successful, and thrive, especially as Central Louisiana is being promoted as an easier opportunity. Yes. You know, the real easy, that campaign is going out. And so it kind of all works together.
Yeah, and that ties right into the main reason that you're here today to talk about a program that you've got going on this summer.
Absolutely. So a few years ago, this program was birthed out of the demand from the Manufacturing Council that Louisiana Central has. And Keisha can kind of take the lead on that conversation and how this summer camp developed to expose our young people to the opportunities we have here in Central Louisiana.
Thank you, Lindsay. So we have a Manufacturing Council at Louisiana Central, which consists of the leading manufacturers across our 10 parish region. 2 years ago, in 2023, they went to my boss, Lace Jones, and said, we need the students in the region, we need the high school students especially, before they get out of high school, to come see our plans, to see what we have to offer, to find out what our salaries are, to find out the benefits. How can we get them in our plans? Well, Louisiana Central is a catalyst and a connector, so it's our job to connect them to the education sector, which is where Lindsay and Dr. Jimmy Saltel and CLTCC comes into play. And we said, okay, how can we do this safely? How can we do it effectively in a week? How can we make sure that the employers are getting the exposure that they need, but that these students really understand we have great jobs right here in our backyards. We make great things here in Central Louisiana, and we need people to fill these jobs, not just this year, but for years to come. So that's how the camp was birthed. It's a 1-week camp. It is for high school freshmen, well, sophomores, juniors, and seniors. But if we have a freshman that is interested in manufacturing and they know this is what I'm going to do, I want to be a welder, I want to be a machinist, I want to be an industrial engineer, we welcome them and say, come on. It's a week long, June 9th through the 13th. And we have a blast. I feel confident in saying that this is one of, if not the best summer camp in Central Louisiana.
This is in partnership with the manufacturing career or the manufacturing organizations here in Central Louisiana. What specific partners are working with you on this camp?
Great question. So our presenting sponsor is CLTCC. They, of course, are our co-sponsor and our partners because we want to fill the jobs, but we want them to fill the jobs with credentials. So we don't want to just hire entry level. We want you to go through CLTCC, get the credentials you need to start off at an even better salary. Our manufacturing partners, we have a good bit of them, but Clico, Royal Martin, LaSalle Lumber, Mancheck, UTLX, Procter & Gamble, Plastipack, Hayes Manufacturing, Stella Jones, AFCO Industries, Boise Cascade, just to name a few, Crest Industries. All of these manufacturers have supported the camp and continue to support the camp, and they really roll the red carpet out for our campers. We don't just go and sit in a conference room and watch a video. We start the day off at CLTCC learning about different trades, and then Rapides Parish School Board is gracious enough to provide us with a driver and a bus. And we go across the region and check out these plants and get in-depth tours that you would never be able to get. Procter & Gamble doesn't just let people come in and view their lines. Most of them have very, proprietary manufacturing equipment, and they don't want to show it, but they show our campers, and they get to get a deep dive, and it's really a great experience.
So they're seeing something different every day, maybe even multiple things a day.
Yes. About two, sometimes 3 tours a day. But again, we go to Chopin, we go to Oakdale, to Royal Martin, we go to Lena, to Boise Cascade, and the Clico Power Plant. So some days we're driving a little farther. We've gone out to LaSalle Lumber. We may be in town and we're going to UTLX and Hayes and P&G and Plastipack, but we may load the bus up and say we're heading out today.
Is there a limit to the number of students that you take in the camp?
There is, only because whenever you're going on tours in the plants, it's a lot. So we try to keep it with the volunteers and us as the camp directors. We try to keep the groups between 25 and 30. This year we are excited to welcome 25 campers into the camp. Last year we had close to 20. The first year we had 15 or 16. So every year it's growing, and this is us having to actually go through a process now and decide how do we minimize the letdown, because we have such, people are excited about it. We have returning campers that have done it.
Oh, wow.
We let them come back because some of them we know are going into manufacturing when they go.
Is the camp full for the summers, or are there spots all taken?
It is. The camp is full now. We opened registration at the beginning of March. It was actually full relatively quickly, and so we...
word is getting out.
Word is getting out. Yeah. The students that have done it before are telling their friends, they're telling their peers. The parents enjoy it. I just, thank God for our amazing sponsors, thank our community, and thank CLTCC, of course, but we're able to provide an amazing experience for $75. And even if you don't have the $75, you're able to get a scholarship, so we don't let money be the reason why you can't come to the camp. And your breakfast, lunch, snacks, t-shirts, swag, all you have to do is just show up.
That is incredible. Yeah. And it's, something that we were talking about this before we even went on the air, but it's something that I've talked about for a long time is, to fill these things, we do have to go back and capture these kids when they're younger and show them that we have got these great opportunities out there for them. And so the partnership of you guys, you are literally showing them. It's not just talking to them about it. And I think that is what's so incredible about this. And I guess my hope would be that since this one is full, we're going to have to start having multiple sessions.
We've already been talking about how we can expand because it does take a lot of planning, a lot of boots to the ground. And obviously, this is just a small facet of what me and Lindsay do during the year. But we're like, how can we expand this to other parishes? We've had other parishes essentially ask for the blueprint. So we're trying to figure out what is the best way to expand it. But one of the things we both love the most is that it's such a diverse camp. We have so many young ladies come to the camp and enjoy it because manufacturing is not just a male-dominated field. So we have girls, very girly girls, many Lindsays come to the camp, and they enjoy the camp, and they are like walking through with their hard hats on, and they're seeing women in these roles, whether it be HR, marketing, but also running the machines, welding, like boots to ground, and it's like, I don't have to just do the, typical female stereotypical careers. And they're like, oh, I can come go to CLTCC for a year and a half, 2 years, and then make $65,000, $70,000 out the gate.
Yep. Sounds exciting to me. Well, we had a caller on the line. They dropped off. Caller, feel free to call back at 318-442-8255. Anyone can call in and ask a question. You talk about traditional careers. A lot of times for females, people typically think of teaching, nursing, those kinds. And you do have the nursing, the allied health, and all that at CLTCC. But the manufacturing is something that is exciting to see it becoming more open to the diversity in the job force.
Absolutely. And the thing is, what we really try to push is that no matter what you go to school for, there is a job for you in manufacturing. All of these plants have nursing stations. So even if you're a nurse, they still have jobs for you. Marketing, lawyers, HR, accounting, bookkeeping, whatever you go to school for, even if it's not necessarily an industrial trade, there's still jobs for you here. That's what we want to show our students, that get your education here, stay here, work here, live here, buy a home here. You can have a good life here. It's easy.
You got Trish really excited on buy a home here. But that whole issue that you just said, connecting the students to the employers and helping them see that there is a career path for them right here. You don't have to go to Houston or South Louisiana to have a very successful manufacturing career.
Absolutely. And we've noticed too, it's a lot of it's exposure and just knowing, right? So the people who go into healthcare usually have a family member in healthcare, and the same thing with welding, or even working offshore. And just recently, last year, we launched the Power Line Worker Program. And so a lot of those students have family members who are line workers. And so it's exposure and it's knowledge that allow programs to grow and provide opportunities for students. So this is just another way to provide that exposure, let students know what opportunities are out there, and if it interests them, chances are they're going to thrive in it, and then there's opportunities right here.
We just had Andre Guillory from CLECO in earlier today, and we talked about those line workers and how important they are. Obviously in storms, we want them, and he reminded us that the legislation did pass to recognize them as first responders during emergency times of declared emergency, and that just elevates the respect that's already given to a career that there's so many careers that we need. We don't realize we need them until we need them, but when we need them, we sure are glad to have them. And that's why to have that line worker program, I mean, a lot of people wouldn't even realize that there's a program for that.
No, we took the campers after we left the CLECO power plant last year, Lindsay said, well, let's take them by the line worker program. And so we took them there, and they got to see them in training, climbing up the poles, what they do, and they were intrigued. Wow. They were intrigued. They were asking questions about it, and that is a relatively short program that can make you really good money. Really good money.
We need to take a break, but we have a lot more to talk about right here on Talkback for this Wednesday morning with Lindsay Green and Keisha Hamilton. So stick around for more with Workforce Wednesday.
Talkback is sponsored by The Clinics with 27 providers and 3 locations. Someone can see you today. Stick around. More of Talkback is on the way.
Craving mouth-watering barbecue and juicy steaks? Head on over to Cole's Barbecue and Steakhouse, the top barbecue and steakhouse in Alexandria. Our warm and welcoming atmosphere is the perfect setting for a night out with friends or a family dinner. Indulge in our premium barbecue and steaks, fresh salads, and handcrafted burgers. Come as you are, we're ready to serve you. Visit Cole's Barbecue and Steakhouse today on Coliseum Boulevard across from the Rapides Parish Coliseum. Expect real good food.
I'll be here to hear what's on your mind.
As an adult, kids want to know you're listening to them, but they also want to listen to you. When it comes to alcohol, they want to know your expectations and how and why to avoid underage drinking. Talking early and often about it in everyday conversations reinforces your message and keeps lines of communication open. For more information, visit underagedrinking.samhsa.gov.
I'll be by your side.
Colorectal cancer is the leading cancer killer in men under 50 and the second leading cause of cancer death for women under 50. The American College of Radiology urges you to get screened starting at age 45. Now, Medicare and insurance companies are required to cover not only colonoscopy, but less invasive exams like virtual colonoscopy. Talk to your doctor about your options. For more information on virtual colonoscopy, visit radiologyinfo.org/virtualct.
We're Sinlaw Broadcasting, local and proud of it, just like this group.
The Central Louisiana chapter of the American Red Cross is located on Bolton Avenue, right here in Alexandria. Their mission is to prevent human suffering in the face of emergencies by mobilizing the generosity of donors and the power of volunteers. And since volunteers are a big part of everything they do, they can use your help. Learn more online at redcross.org.
This has been a public service reminder from Sinlaw Broadcasting.
Hey, Joe, I thought you were retired.
Living on a fixed income is tough. So here I am, an essential worker.
I know. I mean, food prices are going up every day. Thank goodness for benefitscheckup.org.
Benefits what?
Benefitscheckup.org. It's a free website where people over 60 can find help to pay for food, medicine, even utilities. I got $1,200 a year in benefits. Maybe it can help you.
If you'd like to take part in the show today, call the BOM Talkline at 442-8255. That's 442-TALK. And remember, if you're looking to purchase or refinance your home, call Christina Bagwell at the BOM Bank Mortgage Department at 448-2430.
970 AM, 104.9 FM, KSYO. To take part of the show, call 442-8255. That's 442-TALK-BACK.
Welcome back to Workforce Wednesday on Talkback with Lindsey Green and Keisha Hamilton. Lindsey of CLTCC, Keisha from Louisiana Central. What a great partnership your organizations have forged, especially in the last few years. Yeah, they both nod yes. I guess I didn't ask the question well enough to elicit a good response. You were telling us a story about the Bessie tour that they just did. Tell us about that.
So yesterday, Bessie's, which is the Board of Elementary and Secondary Education with the state, they're doing a traveling tour, and they're talking about the importance of these relationships between workforce industries, the trade schools and the universities to develop the workforce with the students who are already in the school system, right? So that we can expose them and grow Louisiana. And there's so many opportunities with LED and the state and Louisiana Central to bring in opportunities into the region. And we're going to need the workforce. And so one of the great stories that came out yesterday, and it goes to show the importance of still educating and, getting the good news out there, is Tioga High School had several students on a panel, and they talked about the importance of dual enrolling and exposure and learning about these opportunities. There was one student in particular who told a story of convincing his parents that not going to a four-year university, he was going to be okay. And so he dual enrolled at CLTCC in welding, and he cannot wait to graduate and step into a $70,000 career that's waiting for him, and not have to go through the four-year process.
Yeah.
Right?
And there was a Wall Street Journal article last week that I brought up on the show, talking about exactly that, about these high school kids that are already getting offers their junior year of high school for these $60,000, $70,000 a year jobs because they're going through that dual enrollment process and learning these technical, whatever field it is. And I think that's a wonderful partnership. We actually did that with one of our kids. He came to CLTCC as dual enrolled while he was still in high school. And it's such a great opportunity that I think a lot of parents don't realize is out there. And again, you're starting at such an early age showing these kids, look at all these opportunities we have for you.
Absolutely. I think, again, it's exposure, it's having the conversation, it's letting them know that there's opportunities waiting for you. And as someone who grew up in the time of school where everybody had to go to college, that's how you know, that was where your success was. I think the conversation's changing. So now we can jump either straight into the workforce because we've had such a great relationship with our high schools and our K-12s to build our students up with skills, or we can develop those skills even more at a 2-year or trade school or something similar to where you don't have to invest 4 years before you're ready.
And what I'm hoping we can do with the conversation is not have it as an either-or proposition that we're saying you must do 4-year or you must do trade. Why can't we have both as great pathways for our students? And it feels to me like the high schools are doing that now. They're helping the kids to determine a pathway, and you can switch if something down the road you can switch. But typically, once you understand the viability of it, whether it's the JAG program or the multiple, I mean, how many programs does a high school have now? Used to be just shop, and now you have all these other great programs that Rapides Parish has implemented.
So many opportunities.
And then and to have them as dual enrollment, it saves money down the long run, it saves time, and it's hard for me to believe that a kid can walk out of a trade school making that kind of money. I shouldn't say it's hard to believe. It's fascinating and wonderful to believe. Yeah. So as we look forward, Louisiana Central and CLTC's continued partnership, I just want to thank you both for elevating the conversation and helping our young people see the great career paths that are available for them outside of having to go, to the debt that goes along with all of that. And look, that's a great path for many people, but it's not the only path.
Right. And you say, you can change, a pathway or a direction, but we also offer the opportunity to stack them, right? So you can come in and get a credential, you can go to work. We understand life gets in the way sometimes, right? And so, but opportunity is always there. And then when you're ready, you can come back. Or you can do your 2-year, and then you can transfer it to a university and continue with a 4-year degree.
Well, this is National Nurses Week as well. Y'all have the Allied Health. You have the Louisiana Practical, the LPN program at CLTCC. Y'all did a pinning
We did
recently?
a pinning. So yesterday I had the privilege of attending the pinning ceremony for practical nursing at the Faraday campus. It was their 33rd cohort. And it was a very special moment.
That's so exciting. The elevating all of these fields, whether it's linemen, whether it's nurses, whatever they are, is we see the necessity of them, and we've got to have people to prepare them. So thank you both for coming in today and sharing about these programs.
Thank you for having us. Louisiana Central is focused on growing jobs, growing opportunities, and growing our region. So we're thankful to you all and CLTCC and all of our community partners for helping us make that happen.
Yes, thank you.
That's the word, partnership.
Well said.
All right, we'll be back with Greg Walker. You talk about a partner. That guy's going to come in gunning and running right after this.
Talkback is sponsored by The Clinics with 27 providers and 3 locations. Someone can see you today. Stick around. More of Talkback is on the way.
This is a Bloomberg Money Minute. Consumer debt delinquencies are on the rise. The New York Fed reports that the share of outstanding consumer debt that's in delinquency rose in the first quarter to the highest in 5 years. The increase reflects an end to the pandemic-era pause on reporting delinquent student loan payments on credit reports. Sports fans will have a new video streaming option now that Disney has taken the wraps off its new service to be called simply ESPN. The new streaming service will cost $30 a month, providing access to events like Monday Night Football and college football. That new service will go live later this year. Futures are edging higher this morning. It was a mostly higher close for Wall Street yesterday. Tech powered the gains that we saw on Wall Street, and the NASDAQ was up 1.6%. The S&P 500 rose almost 0.75%, but the Dow fell around 0.2% yesterday. Shares of United Health weighed on the Dow, but the stock is rising this morning. Gina Cervetti, Bloomberg Radio.
Summertime in Sinlaw is just around the corner. Time to explore. Feeling adventurous? Go biking or hiking in the National Forest. Or camping at the many recreation areas that offer canoeing, kayaking, boating, and fishing. Fun for the whole family. Check out the animals at the zoo, on a petting farm, or at a drive-through safari. Love golf? Then hit the links. And for those with the taste for freshness, don't miss our farmers market. Want more ideas? Go to explorealexandriapineville.com. Did you know that 71% of all licensed real estate agents did not sell a single property in 2024? Hi, this is Trish Lala. When it's time to make the largest financial decision of your life, buying or selling a home, what's happening in the market really matters. The good news is you actually can still come out ahead if you place your trust in an agency with decades of experience handling all of those ups and downs. When experience matters, we're here for you. The Trish Lala Group.
Not everyone who handles your personal information is as careful as you are, which might explain why there's a victim of identity theft every 5 seconds in the United States. Fortunately, there's LifeLock. LifeLock will monitor hundreds of millions of data points a second for threats to your identity. And if your identity is stolen, a U.S.-based restoration specialist will fix it guaranteed or your money back. Save 40% your first year with my name, Clay, as your promo code at LifeLock.com. LifeLock. For the threats you can't control, terms apply.
Progressive presents Employee of the Month. Small Business Edition. Today's recipient from Lucky Larry's Landscaping, Larry! Larry saves his business money with a quick commercial auto quote from Progressive. Does it help he's his own marketing manager, accountant, executive assistant, and never been late? Technically, yes, but saving really put him over the edge. So, Larry, give Larry a round of applause. Be your own Larry. See if you could save in as little as 7 minutes at ProgressiveCommercial.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates.
A mixture of sunshine and clouds on our Wednesday. Good morning. It's going to be a windy day. Afternoon high temperatures getting up to 90 degrees. We'll see winds gusting as high as 40 miles an hour. Tonight, partly cloudy down to 71. And then for Thursday, a mostly cloudy day, but still really nice. Afternoon highs near 90. We'll see more of the same really in store for us on Friday. Today's forecast from the Cenla Broadcasting Weather Center. I'm Dick Grayson. 74 degrees in Cenla.
Talkback. To take part in the show, call 442-8255. That's 442-TALK.
Welcome back to a Talkback on Wednesday with Nathan and Trish instead of Al. Al on vacation this week. He'll be back on Friday, but we are joined with the inimitable Greg Walker. How's that for a fancy word?
Let me get my dictionary.
You cannot be imitated. Actually, I thought about that from the ad that you ran for a while, that if imitation is the sincerest form of flattery, then color the Walker Law Group flattered, right?
I love that commercial because I have used that many, many times myself in my industry.
Well, Rich is the man that came up with that.
Yep.
He's brilliant.
He is brilliant. With the ads.
We have a three-way picture here.
Right?
Yeah. Wow, man. Okay.
You've never gotten to look at the picture before, huh?
No.
Is it scary?
This is what you look like close up on camera, Greg.
I look like I'm looking at one of my classmates in the grocery store and thinking, ooh, did he get old? And then I realized you're thinking the same thing about me.
Isn't that is so funny. And unfortunately, it's so true. It's funny because it's true, because we've reached that age when all of our classmates look a lot older than when we think.
Which means estate planning is very, very important.
What a segue. Is she incredible or what?
She is. Let's keep her.
That's right.
And out of the three of us, she's the better looking.
No doubt about that. And what's funny is it's usually the ladies who are concerned about how they look, and she just shows up in clothes. So it's just,
Well.
Yeah. Well, what are we going to talk about estate planning today? You said you came in worried about somebody, so you've got your clients on your mind all the time.
It's really an interesting case, and it's just so sad. A lady is in a nursing home. She has no family whatsoever. She had $85,000 to her name and a home. Now, the predicament is this. When she goes on benefits, she'll only keep $38 a month. And so that's not enough to preserve her home. She's going to eventually have to sell it. But we want to do things in an orderly manner. So we came up with the plan. We were going to be able to have about $45,000 for her to use to supplement that $38 a month. Well, the lady has a I don't know what you call this disorder, but she's is buying stuff from Amazon and QVC. I mean, literally piles. I've seen pictures, piles of stuff that shows up at the nursing home and at her home. And the nursing home, they're really the ones that should take notice of this, because here's what's going to happen. When we put the Medicaid application in and they see she spent tens of thousands of dollars on junk at QVC and Amazon, they're going to want to know where's the stuff. They're going to think that she's up to something, and she's just mentally ill. And I don't see any way we can get her interdicted. And so she's just going to go broke.
Wow.
And we can't bring anything up because really the nursing home is with her 24 hours a day. They should know the changes in her personality and all this stuff being delivered. She has an agent. He showed up to pick her up the other day to bring her to her home because we needed her to look for some documents. When he shows up, she's dressed up. And now this is in the morning, but she's all dressed up, got herself hair done, everything, because she thinks he's there to go out on a dinner date.
Okay.
And she wasn't, I know people might get, oh, you're here to take me on. No, she was dead serious. And just really weird things like that. And, you know, when you're a lawyer, you feel like there's things that can be done. But really, in reality, there's a limit to what you can do. Now, put yourself in her position. If I tried to interdict her, a lawyer's going to show up over at the nursing home that the court appointed to represent her and say, hi, somebody sued you to have you interdicted and to take all your rights away. How do you think she's going to handle that? And she's a very demanding person, because during the weekend, her agent, after he told her, look, I'm not here to take you on a dinner date. You know my wife and I, I'm here to take you to your house to look for some stuff. Then she wanted him to take her to the T-Mobile place. And he says, well, look, I don't have time to do that. She says, you do what I tell you to do. And, of course, the personality change and the demanding, that's all part of it.
It is.
And, you know, you just feel so helpless. Here I am, a lawyer, 49 years. And I just feel terrible. What can be done?
Right, because what do you do when there are no descendants? There's nobody there to.
And her bank account, she's depleted it in the last 7 days. What she did have.
Wow.
Right now, because her credit cards are all charged up, she now is writing checks, and I guess maybe attached her checking account to some of these accounts. But anyway, it's now got nothing in it.
Compulsive buying disorder is the term for that sometimes affects people where they're just, again, compulsively spending these excessive, and if there's no constraints or rails to help her, she'll go through that money in no time. And I see why you're worried about her.
And what's going to be sad is she's not going to have the money. Right now she's on what's called Medicare Skill Care, but she's coming off of that in a few days, and she's going to hold the nursing home for the rest of May, have no money to pay them, and she has a home that she can go back to, but no money.
Right.
And so what do you do? I'm in no position to sue my client.
Right.
So it's just very frustrating.
Wow.
And there's no family to talk to. It's just a terrible situation.
If I can transition from that to another topic, well, I'll tell you what, we've got to take the break. So I'm going to come back with another question that's similar, because your expert opinion for people with elder law issues is very much appreciated. Back with Greg Walker on KSYL's Talkback.
Talkback is sponsored by The Clinics, with 27 providers and 3 locations. Someone can see you today. Stick around. More of Talkback is on the way.
All of us have that one friend who can just light up the room with a smile. And sadly, how many of us are just a little bit envious of that friend? Well, here's the good news. The folks over at Today's Dental in Pineville can deliver that beautiful beaming smile. Over the years, hundreds of hopeful patients have visited and been completely satisfied. They've made getting dental implants an amazingly simple, low-anxiety procedure, one that's affordable for anyone's budget. The staff at Today's Dental go out of their way to make you feel comfortable with calming in-office IV sedation that's administered by a highly skilled, certified nurse anesthetist. And their multiple finance options make the entire procedure truly affordable. Isn't it your turn to light up that room? Give Today's Dental a call at 448-4540. It's a general dental facility on Highway 28 East in Pineville, owned by Dr. Jonas Gauthier. That's 448-4540.
Got a big day ahead of you? Then it's best to fuel up with some of Sinla's best at Bricato's restaurant. Walk right in and just smell that home-style cooking. Place your order, take a seat, and do breakfast right till 9:30 this morning. Get fresh biscuits, eggs any way you like them, melt in your mouth pancakes, grits, hash browns, sausage, bacon, even wraps and sandwiches. And don't forget their fresh brewed coffee. Bricato's restaurant. 28 West, right across from the Coliseum. Your breakfast is waiting for you.
I'm still going for it, even with higher stroke risk from atrial fibrillation, an irregular heartbeat not caused by a heart valve problem. Over a 3-year study, Eliquis apixaban tablets reduced stroke risk better than warfarin, and over 97% of Eliquis patients did not experience a stroke. A first stroke occurred in 2.9% of warfarin patients versus 2.3% of Eliquis patients.
Don't stop taking prescription Eliquis without asking your doctor. It may increase your stroke risk. Eliquis can cause serious and in rare cases fatal bleeding. Don't take Eliquis if you have an artificial heart valve, abnormal bleeding, or antiphospholipid syndrome. While taking, you may bruise more easily or take longer for bleeding to stop. A spinal injection while on Eliquis increases risk of blood clots, which may cause paralysis, the inability to move. Get medical help right away for unexpected bleeding, unusual bruising, or tingling, numbness, or muscle weakness. Medications such as aspirin products, NSAIDs, SSRIs, SNRIs, and blood thinners may increase bleeding risk. Tell your doctor about all planned medical or dental procedures. Learn more at Eliquis.com or call 1-855-ELIQUIS. Teachers are diverse, skilled leaders, innovating to prepare students for our fast-changing world. Teaching shapes lives. Are you ready? Explore teaching at teach.org, supported by the U.S. Department of Education and 1 million teachers of color.
Now back to Talkback, 970 AM, 104.9 FM, KSYO.
Welcome back to Elder Law on Wednesday. Talkback with Trish and Nathan. Sorry, through the Sandra there. I'm used to being with her on Tuesdays. But Greg Walker here is the special guest expert. And Greg, we're talking about elder law. One of the things that comes up often is reverse mortgages. Is that something you see a lot of, and is it recommendable, or is it on a case-by-case basis?
It's really on a case-by-case basis, but overall, I don't recommend it. Basically, here's what you're doing. You're selling your home for what they give you. Look at it this way. What kind of a business model loans money to old people that aren't going to take care of the property? So you're only getting a fraction of what it's worth. There may be a situation where you absolutely have to come up with some money, and that's your only option. But for the most part, people think, well, I'll just take this money and pay a debt or take a vacation or whatever. It sounds like something that's a good idea, but then they find out their hands are completely tied. It's very hard for them to refinance that because who's going to make a loan to a senior that's on a senior income? And so for the most part, I have never seen a reverse mortgage work out well for anyone.
Wow.
And it's used as a tactic to prey on seniors. There are actually people that go around and they talk a senior into taking a second mortgage, and then they abscond with all the money.
Wow.
Yeah. And you see, on that identity theft thing, this is why don't feel like that they're being truthful with people. If somebody mortgages my home, they didn't have the power to mortgage my home. That mortgage is no good. I've lost nothing. It's just like someone that steals something and pawns it. That's mine. I can go get it. if I can prove it's mine, and the pawn company's out of the money. So with these reverse mortgages, the person that owns the property is signing the mortgage. It's a valid mortgage. And they knew what they were doing. There's no law that says we have to make good decisions. That's the problem.
My understanding of a reverse mortgage was essentially you're selling the house to someone and that they just don't take possession of it until you pass away.
That's right.
But they're taking a risk, almost like an actuarial table on how long you're going to live. They're estimating that you're going to live 7 years or 10 years or 2 years. And then they're making you an offer based on how long. Do they then assume paying the property taxes and insurance if you do a reverse mortgage, or are you still responsible for that?
I think you're still responsible for it.
Really?
Like any lender, they can step in and make the payments, but you have to realize that they've built in a cushion for themselves.
Of course.
Oh yeah.
You're getting a fraction of what your home is worth.
Yeah. But,
so you're still the owner.
Off selling the home and getting the full value of the home.
Well, if that's all you have, sell your home and go into senior housing. There's a lot of great senior housing places. There's a government-run senior housing over in Pineville, and then we have places like Our Lady's Manor and that sort of thing that people can go to. But that second mortgage, I think the fine print says if you're absent for 30 days, they have the right to take over the property.
Oh, wow.
The reverse mortgage.
Yeah.
The reverse mortgage.
So if a person were to
mortgage, two separate things.
Yeah, you're right. So, but if you were to go in the hospital or a short-term stay, they could potentially come and take over.
That's right.
Well, a lot of these it's become a very big product is the senior housing that's got some sort of government assistance. You have the Pineville Housing Authority, Alexandria Housing Authority, Rapides Housing Authority, but there's a lot of 501c3s out there or C4s who have built these places, and your rent is based on your income. So if you have a senior that has no income and they sell their home, then they can live there on a somewhat of a reduced rental rate and have a good life and have a social life and have people around them.
Nathan, absolutely. Here's the problem. I'm selling.
Okay.
You see him on TV. This isn't his first rodeo.
Yeah, that's right.
And, he's telling you what a great deal it is. And, old Tom, he wouldn't be up there.
Get to stay in your home.
Yeah.
You stay in your home. We just pay you money every month.
You're absolutely right. They get these trusted faces.
Before Tom, they had the guy who was an actor, but he became a United States Senator.
Oh, the baritone big voice. I know who you're talking about. Yeah.
I mean, that guy, he wouldn't steer anybody.
Right. He was on CSI or whatever.
Tom.
Yeah, that's right.
I'm with Tom. Where do I sign?
Goodness gracious.
Yeah. Where do I sign?
Well, it's really interesting to me to see this side of you, the concern that you have for your clients. I mean, a lot of people think, and right now lawyers don't have the best name in Louisiana, right? And we understand there are lots of different types of law
you
that need
don't
to be
see Greg
practiced.
on billboards out there.
When I was in grammar school, that's when I decided to be a lawyer.
Really?
And I'll tell you why. Every law day, we had Judge Foote and people, Budgie Polk, and it just seemed to be these lawyers were good, well-respected people. When you had a problem, they were the go-to people. I never even dreamed lawyers jumped off the top of trucks.
Right.
And so I said, that's the profession for me. I want to be like that. I want to help people, and I want to become educated, learn how to do it. I went to law school, and then I came out in the real world.
Well, the piercing question is, do you own a seersucker suit?
I do, but I don't wear it.
If you're going to be a lawyer in the South, you got to have a seersucker, right?
I'll tell you, I have my New Orleans wardrobe that I used to wear when I worked down there.
You're right.
It was complete with seersucker suits, Haspel, all Haspel suits for the summer. My office was down Canal Street, so when I go to the courthouse in Mid-City, I have to take the bus. Well, when I walk back to the bus stop from the courthouse, and it's hot as hell down there. So D.H. Holmes was right by the bus stopped. So my routine was to walk in there, take my jacket off, and browse.
Yeah, that's right. Cool off in the air conditioning,
Cool
right?
off a little bit before I went and tackled the bus.
Greg Walker with Elder Law is with us. We'll be right back with more and your phone calls right after this.
Talkback is sponsored by The Clinics with 27 providers and 3 locations. Someone can see you today. Stick around. More of Talkback is on the way.
This is Dr. Jonathan Hunter with the Clinics, where we pride ourselves in providing exceptional care. We offer a wide range of services, including primary care, family and chronic care, acute and urgent care, podiatry, and gastroenterology, along with an on-site lab and x-ray. Our new family medicine physician, Dr. Noah Miller, is accepting new patients. Same-day appointments are available, and most insurance and Medicare are accepted. The Clinics, 1587 North Bolton, 445-9823. Online at theclinics.us.
Hey y'all, spring is here and so is the fun. Looking for somewhere to cruise this weekend? May 15th through May 17th, New Iberia presents the 16th annual Cruise in Cajun Country. Experience stores, food, music, and dancing. Visit festival.explorelouisiana.com and make your plans to laissez les bon temps rouler.
Exploring the soul of Louisiana? You'll find it in every corner of the 9 Secretary of State museums. These cultural gems preserve the stories that shape who we are. Whether you're reliving history or exploring art and architecture, there's a stop for you. Looking to create your own magical memories? The Old Governor's Mansion was named one of the best wedding venues in Baton Rouge for 2025. Come and feel the heartbeat of our culture at a Secretary of State museum. Visit sos.la.gov for more information.
What's happened? It says we're playing Secretary of State spot. There's nothing there.
We just love Sinlaw.
Can't you tell?
Join us downtown on Saturday, May 17th as we spread some joy in Holi Fest Sinlaw 2025. Camp and Grind on 4th Street hosts this wonderful family event. Learn more at Holi Fest Sinlaw on Facebook.
Spend a relaxing evening on the patio at Spirits Food and Friends Sunset Club. Thursday, May 22nd. This free event starts at 6 p.m. and features great live music, great food, and great friends.
Coming to the Tasting Room of Louisiana on Thursday the 29th. The Silver Lining Serenaders, bringing vintage jazz and western swing to downtown Alexandria with no cover. Get the details on Facebook.
Love otters? Then come to the Alexandria Zoo Saturday, May 31st for World Otter Day. Enjoy exciting discovery carts, informative keeper chats, and a fun otter-themed craft. Get details online.
Sinlaw Broadcasting,
inviting you out on the town.
Exploring the soul of Louisiana? You'll find it in every corner of the 9 Secretary of State museums. These cultural gems preserve the stories that shape who we are. Whether you're reliving history or exploring art and architecture, there's a stop for you. Looking to create your own magical memories? The Old Governor's Mansion was named one of the best wedding venues in Baton Rouge for 2025. Come and feel the heartbeat of our culture at a Secretary of State museum. Visit sos.la.gov for more information.
We have a couple who call. We only have a couple of minutes, so let's go to the phone line. Good morning. You want to talk back with Greg Walker?
Good morning. Hey, Craig, the actor you were thinking of was Fred Thompson.
Yeah, that's him, Fred Thompson.
Yep, he was in, he played like the NASCAR director in Days of Thunder, and he played, I think, ship captain in The Hunt for Red October, and a couple others.
Well, you know, he was a good conservative Republican, so there's no way that Fred would have given us a
Got us wrong.
Got us wrong.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Thank you for that. Yeah, I remember he was the attorney in Law and Order, I think.
Yeah.
Thank you for that call. I appreciate that very much. Next line, you're on the air with Greg Walker.
Greg, this is a quick one. First of all, you did my trust, and thank God for that. I have comfort in that. But this is my question. With couples today living extended periods of time without being married, Okay. Is there anything in Louisiana laws, like, remember years ago they used to call that thing palimony or something like that?
Yeah.
Is there anything in Louisiana that addresses that?
Well, first of all, I know who this is, and I don't handle divorces, if that's what you got.
No. Mine's already...
I'm just picking on you.
But if you handled all my divorces, you wouldn't have to practice law. You'd have plenty of money.
We don't have palimony. That's something that California came up with. And that's one of the things that people that reside together, especially young couples, they don't realize the downside to all of that, because if there is a breakup, it's as though nobody contributed anything. It's all, and usually there's a reason for couples not to get married, and it may be one of the two doesn't want to be obligated to the other. So that's something to think about when you weigh whether you want to get legally married or not. Legal marriage is just a legal partnership, and with any legal partnership brings with it financial consequences. And alimony and child support is one of those consequences.
Yeah.
But we don't have alimony.
Yeah, well, I was just curious about that because there are some couples who live together for an extended period of time, and maybe one of them owns the home, the other one doesn't, and the owner of the home passes away. I didn't know if there was any consequences for that family.
There could be, but this is a legal thing.
Yeah, I got you.
If the surviving party put money into it for repairs, that sort of thing, and they can prove they did it.
Yeah. Well, I already got my reservations for that place, the new one they're building out there in Versailles.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah. I stopped by the other day and made reservations, so I'll be ready to go here in a couple of years.
Well, look, save a room. Maybe we could share a room together.
Yeah. Hey, check you later. God bless. Bye.
All right. Thank you, caller. Appreciate that very much. Greg, we're wrapping up the show. Is common law marriage a thing, or does it not exist in Louisiana?
Only after a night on the town. No,
but there's no legal.
It's not legal.
Legally recognized.
We don't have that.
Well,
we have what's called punitive marriage, but where you go through the motions, but legally you're not able to marry because you're already married. But the other party didn't know that.
I thouut you were joking, but you're serious.
Wow.
Oh my goodness! Wow. Okay, so but family law is not something you do, right?
No.
You help families solve problems, not get in them.
Yeah, I don't want to get involved when they're young.
Oh my goodness.
I
Okay.
get involved when they're old.
Very good. So the law offices of H. Greg Walker are.
And we have a seminar coming up next Tuesday.
Okay.
Call us 318-445-4516 to make your reservation.
That will be at the Westside Library?
Westside Library at 10 a.m.
I've attended one of your seminars, incredibly informative. Folks need to go listen. And not only educational, but entertaining as well.
Well, thank you.
And the snacks are good.
Well, we
I don't know if you have snacks at the library, but the one I went to was at
we
Coliseum.
can do under ethical constraints. A donut or a cookie.
We appreciate you coming in, Greg, and your care for your clients is evident. We appreciate it very much.
Thanks, Nathan.
All right, everybody, that wraps up today's show. Trish and I will be back tomorrow. We have one guest, Matt Johns from the Rapides Area Planning Commission will be in, kind of explaining what the Rapides Area Planning Commission is, what they do, and some of the special programs they have going on right now. So that'll be tomorrow morning at 7:30, and then open line at 8 o'clock. Come back tomorrow. See you then.
See you then, everybody.
Bye, everybody.
You've been listening to Talkback.